Hello, and thank you for tuning in to Business Connections. It's produced by the Dayton Area Chamber of Commerce. I'm Holly Allen, Director of Marketing and Communications for the Dayton Area Chamber of Commerce. As always, the Chamber is committed to helping Dayton area businesses, and one of the ways it does that is by working with regional business and legislative leaders on key issues. And with me today, one of those leaders here now, Maeril Madrid. He is the Director of Constituent Affairs for Governor John Kasich's office. And we're also talking with Chris Kershner. He is the Vice President of Public Policy and Economic Development at the Dayton Area Chamber of Commerce. I want to thank you both for being with us here today.
Thank you. Thanks, Holly.
Well, November 4th was a big day. I'm going to start with you, Maeril. It was a big day for your office. Governor John Kasich won re-election for his second and final term as governor of Ohio. Now, the governor championed several issues critical to the business community during his first term. To mention a few, the creation of Jobs Ohio, CSI, the extension of Medicaid benefits. So looking ahead, what will the public policy initiatives be for the Kasich administration as we look forward to the 131st General Assembly?
Well, Holly, thank you for the opportunity not only to speak with you, but to speak with so many members of the Dayton area business community. Certainly business support of Governor Kasich's reforms starting back in 2010 were crucial to what we were able to get done in the first budget. You know, you came in to a situation where Ohio had been $8 billion out of balance in its budget in 2010. I mean, just think about that, $8 billion. Today, our budget is balanced. We've created nearly 250,000 jobs, and I say we've created, government hasn't created any jobs. We've created an environment where business owners, like your members, have been able to go out and create those jobs. You look at the numbers, 9.1% unemployment statewide when Governor Kasich came out of office. Today that number is 5.3%. In the Dayton MSA, it was 10.5%. in 2010. Today it's 5.2, so even doing a little better than the statewide number. Number of unemployed people in the Dayton area cut in half in the first 4 years that the governor and Lieutenant Governor Taylor were in office. So what we need to do in the second term is just continue to build on the progress we've made. We've worked on bringing Ohio's income tax rates down, doing so not only at the top level, but also at the lower levels of income, so that low earning Ohioans have the opportunity to put more money into their pockets, provide for their families, and to invest in the workforce training, the skills, going back to school, whatever it is that helps them reach their God-given ability. So as far as the second term goes, it's going to continue to be that focus. Focus on workforce. Focus on Jobs Ohio. Jobs Ohio is working. It's bringing new companies into Ohio. It's helping us retain businesses here in the state. Continue to cut taxes. Continue to make sure that the least among us is provided for, and that a rising tide lifts all ships. And I think that we've got a lot of exciting things to do in the next 4 years. The last 4 years went really fast. The next 4 are going to go even faster, but we've got a lot of big things to get done.
I want to turn to Chris. Yeah, did you want to add something?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd like to add a couple things to that because the Dayton area specifically has seen some really great wins over the past 4 years. We've had the recent announcement of Fuyao that is bringing at least 800 jobs to the old GM Moraine plant. Really a nice win that's able to focus on one of our core competencies, which is the automotive manufacturing industry. Dayton's always had a long history of being strong in the automotive manufacturing industry, and thanks to having the right environment, we were able to ensure a new home for the Chinese auto glass manufacturer in Fuyao. We also had Procter & Gamble that recently announced and has been building their Dayton Mixing Center. Again, about at least 800 jobs. It's going to be out in Union, all focused on one of the industries that seems to be doing very well in the Dayton area, logistics and distribution. And that's something that I would say over the last 4 years, Dayton has really created a marketing campaign, but also getting the word out not only to the state but to the world about how great of a location we are for logistics and distribution companies. We have the interchange of I-70 and I-75. We have the CSX rail line. We have an international airport with a business-friendly foreign trade zone, all within 3 miles of each other. Really allows itself for us to be an attractive area for logistics and distribution companies to locate. And we're seeing a lot of them come, like P&G, and thanks to the help of the governor's office and Jobs Ohio, we're able to see some real wins.
That's right, and it's been a big story in the Dayton area. And from the chamber point of view, Chris, what will you be looking for from the State House and from legislators there to help our businesses?
Sure. You know, It's important that we partner very closely with the folks in the state legislature, but as well as in the governor's office. And Maeril's right. The Chamber's always been strong believers that government doesn't create jobs, but they help create the right environment that allows jobs to flourish, allows the economy to continue to grow and move forward. And we're going to look for a continued partnership from our legislative and elected leaders that are going to help continue to create that right environment that allows for businesses to flourish. And that might mean the continuation of some programs that have done very well, and that might mean looking at some new legislative initiatives in 2015. And we'll be happy to get into those here shortly.
I'm sure we will. I wanted to go back to you, Maeril, because we mentioned CSI. That was something we mentioned that the governor has really championed in the last 4 years. Let's start simple. Can you explain, what does CSI stand for? What is it? Let's start there.
Sure. So the simplest thing is, what does it stand for, right? CSI, Common Sense Initiative.
Okay.
Something that government can use a lot more of at just about every level, common sense. We recognized when Governor Kasich and Lieutenant Governor Taylor came into office that some regulations and some rules, some of the things that business owners have to deal with every day in terms of the Department of Commerce, BWC, every agency that businesses interact with, probably could use a little dusting off of the regulations, making sure they still made sense, making sure that they were about getting companies on a level playing field, not about being prescriptive or trying to inhibit anybody from doing business, but just to make sure that things were fair, things were balanced. So over the course of the last 4 years, the CSI program has looked at every rule, every regulation, every form that businesses have to file, and they've worked through a process to have over 1,200 regulations reviewed and over 200 rule packages reviewed. These are the things that don't even get looked at, in the legislative forum. These are things that the legislature passes the bill, and then there are different rules that have to be put in place so that the state government agencies can enforce the laws that the legislature passes. Well, some of those are just outdated, and some of those don't make a whole lot of sense, and sometimes it's just a matter of getting the right person in a state agency, talking to the right person at a business to just move past what could be months or even longer of red tape and bureaucracy, and just get people talking to each other and get things done in a much quicker time pattern. So CSI has worked with companies all over Ohio. One of the great things they did was work with the Home Builders Association and the Department of Commerce to actually look at all the rules that go into what you have to do to build a new home in Ohio. They worked through years of just pent-up frustration on both sides, brought people to the table, got them working together, and now, due to those regulations and the reforms that they've brought, the home builders will tell you it's about $2,000 cheaper on average to build a new home in Ohio. So that's tangible improvement that everybody can appreciate.
And what was that impetus to start that? Was it just you coming in, felt like you needed a house cleaning before you got started?
Yeah, just recognizing that there are so many of these things in state government that are just there, that have always just been there. And you can always be working on, budgets and high-profile issues, and those deserve all the attention they get. But sometimes the seemingly smaller things are the things that are really the barrier to a small business owner or to a big business owner of just getting things done in a timely and common sense manner. We know that businesses do that every day. They reform their processes, and they go through Kaizen and Lean and Six Sigma and things like that to make sure that they're the best they can be. We think government can do the same.
And the business community might be somewhat to blame for the impetus that the governor's office put on that, because we were leaning on the governor pretty hard about regulatory policies that have been impacting businesses for years. And we are very thankful that we had somebody with the courage and the foresight that could come into office, notice a problem, but not only notice it, but work to address that problem. And at the Chamber, we work on legislative and regulatory issues. Well, it's that and regulatory issues a lot of times that really gets business owners frustrated. And to have somebody that's working to reduce that burden on businesses, reduce the paperwork burden on them, allow them to be able to move through the governmental process more freely and without the red tape in front of them has been very beneficial to a lot of our members in the Dayton area.
And I would just add, regulation is important. We certainly know that in the eastern part of the state, where the oil and gas industry has taken off, and you can't put expedience over safety, but it's about compliance and not punishment. And that's the approach we've tried to take through CSI. And Lieutenant Governor Maeril Taylor and her staff have really made that kind of their watchword, so to speak, in their approach, and I think it's working.
Well, one of the other things that Governor John Kasich is focused on is reducing the state's reliance on income tax.
Yeah.
So can you talk about what he's done and what can the business community anticipate that's coming up in this next year?
Sure. From the time he was campaigning before he ever became governor, Governor Kasich's been looking at the impact of the income tax on Ohio and what eliminating it, reducing it could do. So in the first term, in both budgets and in one of the mid-biennium reviews, we were able to bring down Ohio's income tax rate. And in doing so, encourage more investment, more small business owners to go out and invest in their businesses. And we just think it makes more sense that people have more money in their pocket rather than in government. We've shrunk the size of government, state government, smallest it's been in about 35 years in terms of employment and things like that. So that's a positive, and we think that we need to continue to go in that way. Now, Chris, tell you, we've worked with, this is an issue that there's agreement on, but it's the path to get there.
Sure.
And we've had conversations with the chamber and other groups on that. Anytime you start to touch the tax code, it's big, it's complex, and there are issues that come with it. Because if you're touching one section, how does it impact another section, and what is the balance on that? And we've got a tax code in Ohio that has been pretty good in terms of business tax, but it needs to continue to come down, and that income tax really needs to come down. Because that's what encourages, maybe your entrepreneurs to invest here. That's what encourages your CEOs who, as they get into maybe their retirement years and they've got grandkids here, but they're looking at the tax code and the weather in Florida and making that decision. We want them to keep some of that wealth here. We want them to maintain their presence in Ohio, because those are the community builders. Those are the pillars that our cities for a long time have been built on. Dayton has a great history of corporate and civic leadership, and we don't want that next generation to be leaving for places where their income won't be taxed. So we did eliminate the death tax in Ohio as part of the first budget. Governor Kasich worked very closely with the legislature to do that, and that's a major reform. We're just going to continue to look at the entire tax code and work on bringing down that income tax.
And that's really one of the key initiatives for the Chamber and for the 131st General Assembly, is taking a look at what does business-friendly, positive tax reform look like. And we know that can take on many different forms. And to be completely honest with you and all of our members, we're not exactly for sure what that's going to look like. But we want to work with some of our folks who are in elected leadership, like the governor's office and our legislature, to see what kind of package we can put together that is beneficial for the business community. It might look at, different taxes that are out there. They may be direct small business taxes, they may be income taxes, they may be sales taxes. We don't know. We're going to look at the whole overall picture and see what we can do to help put together a recommendation for the best possible package.
And we want to hear from you.
Yeah.
And that's what helps us inform our policies, hearing directly from business owners and from the chambers who represent them. The small business tax cut in the last budget was a huge boom. We expanded that in the MVR to 75% on the first $250,000. Hopefully people are taking advantage of that. And we want to continue to do those things that help to spur our small businesses to growth.
We've heard nothing but good things about it. So I haven't had one business owner that's come to me that says, we didn't like that small business tax cut. They've all been excited. They're happy for it. And Maeril's right. When there's more money in their pocket, that's more money they can invest in their business so that they can grow jobs in Ohio, grow jobs in the Dayton area, which is what we all want to see happen.
Right.
Absolutely.
That's the end game here.
Yep.
Well, tax is a huge issue, but our members have said workforce. That's their number one priority. That's what they've said to the Chamber of Commerce. So, Chris, as you look forward to this coming legislative year, what sorts of policy are you looking at to push workforce development?
Sure. Yeah, Holly, you're exactly right. Workforce development has been rated as the number one priority for the members of the Dayton Area Chamber of Commerce. So there's a lot of community initiatives going on around workforce. I'm really going to focus my individual efforts on what I can do to help support workforce development through the legislative and regulatory process, because it's a key factor when it comes to economic development. It used to be that companies would find where they wanted to locate, they would locate, and then the employees would follow that company. That's changed. What we're seeing now is companies are looking at where the talent is, and then the companies are following the talent. So we want to ensure for the Dayton region that we have a strong talent pool, because that will help attract businesses to the Dayton region, to the state of Ohio, which is, again, important for all of us. So some things that we're going to hope to continue to do and look at doing that are new in 2018 2015 for the 131st General Assembly. The Third Frontier Internship Program. This has been a strong partnership that we've had with the Ohio Development Services Agency and the Third Frontier Bond Program, in which we help fund about 120, and I'm sorry, I shouldn't say we help fund, the Ohio taxpayers help fund, about 120 interns with for-profit companies in the Dayton area. The Chamber helps manage that locally, but those are taxpayer dollars that they're paying through the Third Frontier Bond Initiative. But what it's doing is it's creating that pipeline. So now you have students that are in our local colleges in the Dayton area. They now are getting a real-world business internship in the Dayton area. And hopefully, if they're doing a good job, they have a job opportunity when they're graduating from that local university. So we hope to continue to do that program. We also want to continue to work with the administration on the incumbent worker training program. That really has been a strong program that a lot of our businesses have benefited from as their business models have changed and evolved. They've needed assistance and resources on making sure that their workers have the right skills and trades to be able to be a valuable resource for that employer in today's day and age. And the Incumbent Worker Training Program has been extremely beneficial. But then we're going to look at some legislative and policy initiatives as well. Early education is a strong policy initiative that we want to look at. What can we continue to do to make sure our younger students, and I'm talking students even that could be K through 12, are getting the right foundation they need to be able to move on to higher education opportunities in Ohio and then ultimately employment in Ohio. And that could take all different kinds of forms. You know, something we're going to look at continuing to do in the 131st General Assembly is supporting the Common Core state standards. These are state education standards that were put in place back in 2010. They're still in place now. We're confident they're going to stay in place, and we're going to do whatever we can to continue to support those.
So it looks like this is a whole package, starting early. We're talking kindergarten.
Absolutely.
When we're looking at developing our workforce.
And even before kindergarten. We used to talk about K through 12 and then higher ed,
right.
And now we talk about PK through job.
That's right.
Right.
I mean, it really is an effort to look holistically. You look at things like the third grade reading guarantee, which has just been great for Ohio students to make sure that we're not just socially promoting kids into the fourth grade, because that doesn't serve them and it certainly doesn't serve the community. But more importantly, it doesn't serve them. Looking at the skills gap, you know, it's one of those situations where if you're an older Ohioan or middle-aged Ohioan or whatever it is who's in a job and that job's going away, it doesn't mean you're a bad worker that you can't learn a new skill. It just means you've got to do it more quickly. And that's the immediate, that's the workforce focus, and the Chamber's been a great partner on trying to address that, because that's a need that certainly the business community has. I mean, there are jobs out there right now that we just can't fill, and we want to get Ohioans trained to fill those jobs so that they can provide for their families and, you know, have the stability that they need, but also look at 20, 30 years down the road. What are those jobs that are going to be here? And we've worked with a lot of member businesses to try and forecast that so that we can start to tailor the education system not to what it used to be in the 1970s and 1980s. That was good then, but we've got to think about what are the jobs of, you know, the 21st century, because we're not looking at the 21st century anymore. We're in it, and we've got to continue to be aggressive to put Ohio on the cutting edge as we go, you know, on.
Right. Would you say the governor's office is looking, workforce development is always, when you're talking education, you're talking about the third grade reading guarantee, that you're always looking forward to what is the future for our students?
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. And the governor will tell you, you know, the jobs that are good jobs, the jobs that are going to continue to be the good jobs, are the ones we want to have our people, our Ohio citizens, trained for. And it starts with, you know, with the education system, working with our teachers. We've got amazing teachers in Ohio, giving them the capacity, the tools, the flexibility to work with each student individually, not have to, you know, fit a kid into some pre-existing box. Make them be the kid that they want to be. You know, give them the opportunity to get out in internships and in non-traditional learning environments and work with their hands. You know, really do what it is that they want to do.
I was going to say, how important for the interns to get those students in the real working environment in those companies, not only learning the skills, but also making the connections to keep them in the state of Ohio.
Absolutely.
And we're actually, we're in a unique situation. We're in a good situation, but it's a unique situation in the Dayton area because of Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. Wright-Patterson Air Force Base employs almost 30,000 people inside the fence. And they, for every one person inside the fence, the multiplier is about 2.1 for outside the fence and supporting positions. Wow. So almost 100,000 jobs directly related to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. They have over a $4 billion economic impact on the state of Ohio. That's billion with the B. That's huge. What's great is a lot of the jobs out there are research and development jobs, are aerospace engineering jobs, high-tech jobs that pay well, jobs that you could support a family on, jobs that we want here in Ohio. And they're looking for their workers. They're looking for their workers now, and we know they're going to be looking for their workers in the future. So we need to make sure that we're doing everything we can as a local business community and partnering with our state leaders to ensure that we have the right workforce education and training environment so that those employers that are looking for those high-skilled jobs in the future are able to find the employees locally in Ohio or locally in the Dayton area when those jobs come up here years from now.
Chris, when you're looking at public policy and what you're going to work on for upcoming years, how do you identify the issues that matter to our members and what you're going to work on public policy-wise?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, the Dayton Area Chamber of Commerce, we are a member-driven organization. So our members help us determine what are our policies going to be that we're going to pursue in the upcoming General Assembly. And we do that through a multitude of different ways, and I'll try to nutshell it the best I can for you. But we have a couple key committees. We have a Legislative and Regulatory Committee, an Energy and Environment Committee, a Safety Council. All those different groups take a look at what legislative and regulatory policies are going to be important to them to help them do good business in the Dayton area. What they do then is they put together a draft list of those policies that they would like to see changed or supported in the next General Assembly. Our board then takes a look at that and votes on a legislative and regulatory agenda. That's done every 2 years in accordance with the General Assembly. That legislative and regulatory agenda then serves as our blueprint in the Public Policy Department for initiatives that we're going to pursue or support or sometimes even oppose in the next General Assembly. So it really comes from our members. It's as organic can be. It comes from the members who are our organization. They help identify what those key issues are, and then we put those into an agenda that's supported then by our board, and then that acts as our blueprint going forward. And then I should say also, we try to be very transparent with our members and communicate with them on what issues we've taken a position on and how our elected leaders are in supporting those positions of the chamber. So we do a legislative scorecard in which we are able to say, here's the positions that we've taken, and then here's how our members from the Dayton area delegation and the state legislature have done in supporting those business-friendly positions. And that's a way to just communicate to our members and make sure they're educated about the members of the Dayton area delegation that are supportive of the business community and the business community's public policy positions.
A little look behind the scenes there.
Yeah, absolutely.
You do all that. It's kind of interesting.
If you don't live this every day, it can be a little murky. So whatever we can do to remove some of that fog and provide more transparency, we're happy to do that.
You want to hear from every member, right?
Absolutely.
So if you haven't talked to Chris, call him.
That's right. The Dayton Area Chamber of Commerce has 2,900 members. We're the 23rd largest chamber in the country. We're not the 23rd largest metropolitan area. Well, I wish we were. We're not. And that's a real testament to our business community. And the reason why we have such a strong chamber is because we continue to get a lot of input from those members. They are engaged in the organization. They're letting us know what issues are important to them so that when I'm in Columbus, when I'm in Washington, D.C., when I'm at City Hall in Dayton, I know what issues that I can be fighting and working on for the local business community.
Right. Maeril, I want to end with you as we're talking about contacting and calling Chris. We're looking at the Dayton area. Is there a local contact person, someone that, our chamber members, people in the Dayton area can call, send an email if they have questions for the governor's office?
Absolutely. I know Chris works with her regularly. Her name is Sandra Brasington. She represents Governor Kasich in Western Ohio. She's got an office right there in Dayton and is on the road every day, but is always reachable. You can get her contact info or anybody else in our office that you want to talk to, governor.ohio.gov. Check out the website. We look forward to hearing from you. And I would be remiss if I didn't say congratulations to Dayton on keeping the first 4 basketball games right where they belong.
Right,
in Dayton at UD.
Thank you very much. It's an honor. But I feel it's an honor that we've earned. You know, we've worked
Absolutely.
hard to make sure that they're happy and that we're able to provide the right numbers for them, and it's been a real success, and we're pleased to have them back.
The governor was out there for the big hoopla in
Yes,
May.
yeah,
And
he's always been very supportive.
The community commitment is really something to see. So congratulations to you guys. You earned it.
No, thanks, Maeril. We appreciate it.
I think Dayton has solidified its reputation as a basketball town for sure by now. So thank you for that. And I want to thank you for tuning in to Business Connections. Again, this is a program produced by the Dayton Area Chamber of Commerce. Our guest today, again, Maeril Madrid, who is the Director of Constituent Affairs with Governor John Kasich's office, and of course, Chris Kershner, Vice President of Public Policy and Economic Development with the Dayton Area Chamber of Commerce.
With the smoke having mostly cleared from our most recent general election, our elected leaders should be already thinking about the agenda for our state and nation. No matter what your political, partisan politics, we as a country must have some weighty discussions about our focus and direction. For the state of Ohio, it's still about economic development, job growth, education, workforce, and ideas that will strengthen our people and communities. We have a two-party system, but in Ohio it's dominated by just one party that must govern with fresh ideas that can help all. Help a rising tide lift all boats. This is not always easy, and our leaders must be willing to incorporate diverse ideas or leave those outside the room disenfranchised. National priorities may be somewhat different, but a strong economy, a strong defense, lower taxes, an educated workforce, and a reduction of our national debt are but a few of the priorities that must be deliberated over the next coming months. Ohio and America have many strengths, but if we are not ready to bend a little, we may find ourselves even more broken. Philosophical differences aside, we must make progress. Ohio seems to be running fairly well, but nationally we need to stop the gridlock and finger pointing and get back to good governance. I hope our newly elected and re-elected leaders will understand that we are an important state in just one nation. And if we don't figure out how to better cooperate and set common goals, we may be doomed for mediocrity, or worse yet, failure.